This is Plant-Based Briefing. I used to have MS relapses every 6 months. After going plant-based, I haven't relapsed in 10 years. By Corinne Nijjer at forksoverknives.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is the curated content plant-based podcast, where I narrate articles, with permission, on a variety of plant-based and vegan topics. Today I'm sharing another plant-based healing story or success story from forksoverknives.com. They're a website that has a wealth of resources about healthy plant-based living. They have recipes, the latest research, articles, success stories like this. They also have a meal planner and the documentary Forks Over Knives, which I always recommend to people. Now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. I used to have MS relapses every 6 months. After going plant-based, I haven't relapsed in 10 years. By Corinne Nijjer at forksoverknives.com. Tired of relapses and reluctant to go on medication, Corinne Nijjer decided to try using a plant-based diet to treat MS. She had no idea how dramatically it would transform her health. I was born in Victoria, Australia, to a family of farmers. I weighed 10 pounds when I was born, the biggest baby in the nursery, as I was regularly informed later, and thus began my lifelong struggle with taunting, obesity, and increasingly ill health. By the time I was 18, I was clinically obese for my height. I lived off cakes, biscuits, and candy. I had no energy and required regular naps to get through my school days. By the time I left home and began studying and working, I was chronically constipated, had monthly candida outbreaks, and relied on antidepressants and painkillers. Worsening symptoms. At age 22, I was experiencing chronic pain to the point that I could no longer raise my arms above my head, wash dishes, or clean the floors. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was told that there was no cure and this would just be my life from now on, heavily reliant on painkillers and anti-inflammatories. In 2004, when I was 24, I woke up before my morning shift at work and was unable to feel the right side of my face. By mid-morning, I could no longer feel my right arm below the elbow. Initially, after reading the CT scan, the doctors thought I'd had a stroke, but the MRI showed multiple lesions on my brain. As a result, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It felt as if my entire world had imploded. I was terrified for my future. At the time, I couldn't believe it. Why would my immune system suddenly start attacking my brain and nervous system? It just didn't make sense to me. Planting the seed for change. Soon after my diagnosis, I received some information in the mail from MS Australia. Mostly it was glossy pamphlets touting all the latest available drug treatments, such as beta interferons, self-administered injections believed to reduce the frequency and severity of relapses. But I also received 2 printouts about research by Roy Swank, MD, on the benefits of a low-fat, mostly plant-based diet. I hated the idea of injecting myself, and it made sense to me that something I was doing to my body had been making me sick. But as a smoking, junk food-loving, obese person, the thought of drastically changing my entire life seemed impossible. At my 6-month checkup, I asked my neurologist about treating MS with a low-fat plant-based diet. He told me that there was no scientific evidence of diet having any connection to MS, and that I should eat whatever I wanted. This made me feel that I could go back to the lifestyle that had made me sick. In 2006, I'd been having relapses about every 6 months, so I attended an MS retreat. Although not 100% plant-based, this retreat was based on the research conducted by Roy Swank, with a focus on low-fat plant-based eating. This was the real beginning of my transition to a plant-based diet, though it still took me another 2 years to adopt the diet completely. One day in 2008, I woke up unable to feel my legs or anything below the waist. I was terrified. I didn't know if I would ever regain the feeling, if I'd ever walk properly again, if I'd ever be able to be intimate with my partner again. I had so many questions. I went to the neurologist for steroid treatment. He advised me that if I continued to refuse the medications, I would get sicker and sicker until I died. At that moment, I knew I had no choice. I made a new commitment to my health, to healing, to fully following a low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet. Happy, healthy, symptom-free. Things began to improve pretty quickly. I noticed that I was no longer chronically constipated. I had more energy. My chronic pain receded. The candida I'd been living with since I was 16 just went away, and I slowly started to lose weight that I'd never been able to lose before. I lost over 55 pounds and for the first time in my life entered the healthy weight range. I felt amazing. That was 10 years ago this August, and I've never looked back. I am now celebrating 10 years completely free from the symptoms and relapses of multiple sclerosis. These days, I try to run 3 miles every single day, not just for the health benefits, but because I actually love it. I never thought I would love moving my body. I never thought I'd be able to move my body effortlessly and free from pain after being diagnosed with MS. I now have 2 adorable small children, and I can chase after them, climb trees with them, and even take them running with me. Our entire family is whole food, plant-based, and thriving. Next year I turn 40, and I honestly can't wait to turn 40 in the best health of my life. You just listened to I used to have MS relapses every 6 months. After going plant-based, I haven't relapsed in 10 years. By Corinne Nijjer at forksoverknives.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and Corinne Nijjer is one of my heroes. When I first went whole food plant-based, I found her podcast and I binged every single episode. They're mostly success stories, amazing ones like hers, people healing themselves from a variety of conditions with a plant-based diet. She's also got experts, dietitians, medical doctors, and she sprinkled an animal rights episode in there too, with information that shocked me beyond belief. But it set me on this path. I highly recommend her podcast. You can find it where podcasts are found or at CorinneNijjer.com, and I'll put that link in the show notes as well. Thanks for listening.